Today's video is one that I've been wanting to do for almost a year and a half now, and even though I've been waiting that long to do it, I'm still nervous. If you're familiar with the reading community, there is a, challenge that a lot of people do where they turn their screen time into reading time, and that is what I'm going to undertake today. Like I said, I've been wanting to do this for at least a year, and I thought it was going to be so easy and so fun, and oh my gosh, I'll stay off my phone. I picked a really bad week to film this. And I know saying that, you could be like, just change the week, right? But I don't want to. That's the thing. I still want to do this. So I'm here and kind of telling you the backstory and how we got here, even though it's not important to the plot. You know, I mostly chose to do this because it is already almost the end of October and I've yet to pick up any of the books on my October TBR. So I thought this would be kind of a fun way to go through and read the books on my TBR and probably more because my screen time is absolutely atrocious. So yay for me. Speaking of atrocious screen times, allow me to introduce you to my screen time for today. I went ahead and took my screen time stats from last week, so it's going to be the amount of time that I spent on my phone the previous week, but according to my wonderful little screen time app, I spent a total of 7 hours and 16 minutes on my phone last Monday. To be honest, I kind of knew Monday was going to be high. I was having a very bad mental health day and spent most of my day perusing the wonderful world of TikTok. Now, obviously, if you can't tell, the sun has already gone down. It is 9 p.m.-ish, and I am just sitting down and starting my reading for the day. And I know you may be thinking that there's not 7 hours left in today, which technically there isn't, but I'm not going by clock time. I'm going by when I wake up to when I go to bed. It's just how my brain works. I do a lot of reading at night, so this just makes the most sense for me. But we got 7 hours and 16 minutes of reading we need to do, so we are going to start with the book I'm currently reading, which is Counting to Perfect. It's written by Suzanne Lafleur, I think is the author's name. This is actually a book I'm reading for a different video, the video that came out before this, so I should have finished it yesterday. But like I said, crazy week this week. I have 130 pages left in this book, which really is not that bad. It's probably going to take me an hour and a half, so I'm just going to sit down. We're going to finish Counting to Perfect, and then we'll reconvene for book number 2, because obviously I'm going to read more than one book in 7 hours. But yeah, I got no more words for you. Let's go finish Counting to Perfect. I just finished reading Counting to Perfect. It took me about an hour and 13 minutes. I ended up giving it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. However, I am not going to be talking about it in this video because it pertains to a different one. Does that make sense? If you're interested in seeing like my full thoughts on Counting to Perfect, it'll be in the video that was posted before this, which is the first rendition or first episode of my Reading Through the Alphabet series. If you haven't seen that and you end up liking this video, I recommend checking it out. I'm excited for that. But it is currently 10:42. It is almost 11, and I know what book we're going to be reading next. I knew I was going to be reading super late tonight, so I wanted to pick up something that would hold my attention while the lights were still on. If you don't know me, I love reading in the dark. Like the second that it turns dark outside, I'll turn my Kindle in the dark mode, turn my LEDs off, and read in the dark, hurting my eyeballs. But because I have so much reading time left on the clock, I know that I need to stay up like with a physical book for a little bit longer. So I have one more that we're gonna binge read, and that is gonna be Heartstopper Volume 5 by Alice Oseman. I just picked this up from my library yesterday. No, 2 days ago. 2 days ago. And I'm so excited for this volume. I'm like over thrilled, overjoyed, very excited to see what Nick and Charlie and all of our lovely side characters get up to in this, I think, final volume of Heartstopper. No, there's one more. She's writing another one. I thought this was going to be the one. Oh, I'm excited. But I'm very excited to dive back into this world. So let's go read Heartstopper Volume 5. Okay, I just finished reading Heartstopper Volume 5. Compared to the last volume, this one was very upbeat and very happy, which is good. I feel like Nick and Charlie needed it, and I feel like mentally I needed it too. I ended up giving this volume a 3.5 out of 5, not because I didn't like it as much as the other ones. It felt like we were falling into a rhythm, into a pattern, you know? And I liked the continuation, but it wasn't holding any, like, emotional super value to me like the last one did, you know? But I kid you not, that only took me 40 minutes. I'm not even at the 2 hour mark, which kind of low-key sucks. That means I have a lot of reading left to go. And while I do have physical copies of books up here, they are mostly horror books. And I feel like that's not a great idea for me to be reading at night. And I have a SAG day book, and I feel like that's not a great idea for me to be reading that right now either. And of course, all the books on my TBR are downstairs, so I have my little Kindle here with me. The book I'm currently reading on my Kindle is The Ritual. However, I'm really not in the mood for The Ritual. I'm gonna be real with you. Don't really want to sit down and read The Ritual right now. I think I might actually read Straw into Gold by Carol Beth Anderson. It's a Rumpelstiltskin fairy tale retelling, and it is literally only 43 pages. It's saying the typical reading time is less than an hour. Okay, yeah, this is what I'm going to pick up next is, what's it called? Drawn to Gold is what I'm going to be reading next, because I need something that's in the, you know, like quick and easy, in and out type situation. So, I'm going to read Drawn to Gold, and then we'll reconvene and pick book number 4. Hello everybody, and welcome to Tuesday. Even though it's Tuesday, I did not technically finish my reading yesterday if it wasn't blatantly obvious. I wasn't really looking to wreck my sleep schedule for this video, but I've come to terms with the fact that I was going to need to be wrecked, but I needed one more night of good sleep, so I went to bed at like 1 a.m. last night. But I did get 3 hours of reading in, which is lovely. I'm only 4 hours late. I'm already failing. It's okay though. I haven't even looked at Tuesday's hours yet, but I know that for Monday, I was supposed to read 7 hours and 60 minutes. I'm only at 3 hours and 8 minutes. So clearly there's an imbalance in the scales here. But it's okay because it is early morning, the sun's out this time, and I think I can get all of Tuesday and Monday's reading done today. I've also come to terms with the fact that I'm going to need to wreck my sleep schedule, so in about an hour or so, I'm gonna go get an Alani from my fridge because I But with that being said, let me give you a quick recap of last night's reading. I cover to cover read Heartstopper Volume 5. We finished that together. That was great. We talked about it. I then picked up Straw into Gold, which was a quick Rumpelstiltskin retelling. It was fine, but it wasn't anything special. I ended up giving it a 2 out of 5 stars. The only really interesting thing about it is that after reading reviews, I found out that the roles were gender swapped. For whatever reason, when I picked that up, I was thinking about The Hunchback of Notre Dame. So I was ready to read about a hunchback man. Didn't get a hunchback man, so a little bit disappointed. But after reading Straw into Gold, I ended up reading The Ritual because that was the only book on my Kindle that seemed like really interesting to me last night. I believe I read it for about an hour, maybe a little bit less. I didn't get very far. The Ritual is one that's going to take me literally forever to get through, but I'm hoping to finish it this week. I have like 3 hours of it left, so I'm thinking that's the book we binge read tonight, but that's not for literally 12 hours, so we're still here, right? And speaking of here, it is time to finish Monday's reading. Clearly, I have about 4 hours left, and to start working through those 4 hours, I'm actually going to be listening to an audiobook. I have been on an audiobook grind recently. Like, I'm not even kidding you, I think 8 books out from my library, Libby audiobooks, which is insane. And technically, 2 of them are back in 8 days, but one of them is Fairy Tale by Stephen King. I am quite literally only 4 chapters into this beast of a book, but it's something, okay? As someone who, once again, does not read the inside panels or backs of books, I don't really know what I was expecting. I was hoping it would be a fairy tale, but I don't think it's actually in that realm, which I'm not upset by. I'm just confused on why you would call it fairy tale if it's not a fairy tale. Then again, I'm not even 100 pages into what? Is this an 800-page novel? No, 500. Sorry, I was being dramatic. It's only 598 pages. Either way, this is what I'm going to start with. I'm going to listen to the audiobook of Fairy Tale by Stephen King while I do a little bit of computer work and behind-the-scenes content stuff. There's really not much I can say about the book as of right now. I mean, we're not that far into it. All we really have been introduced to is the characters, and I feel like we're setting up for the main plot of the book. But for like a really quick recap of what I've read, in our main character's perspective, whose name I cannot remember for the life of me, his mom was killed on this bridge. His father became drunk because of it, but he is now in AA and doing 100% better. Is his name Charlie? I think his name is Charlie.
Charlie's our main character. He watched the grumpy old neighbor fall off a ladder and saved his life by calling the hospital for him, and is now taking care of grumpy neighbor's dog named Radar, who is this elderly German Shepherd who I have fallen in love with. Mr. Bowditch, the guy who fell off the ladder, just got out of the hospital, and that's like where I am in the book. But it is 10:45, and we have a lot of reading to get done today, so I'm gonna put these on and go into little reading land and get going. I finally finished our reading from Monday. I stopped the clock at 7 hours and 10 minutes. It's 6 minutes off, but I'm not gonna get that close. Especially because I just finished reading chapter, I believe it was 13 of Fairy Tale. Yes. Chapter 13 of this behemoth of a novel. I'm literally only, I think, like 30, maybe 40% of the way through. I don't know, I haven't put it in Goodreads yet. But this got good, okay? We're finally at the part where we are in like the actual fantasy part of the story, which I'm so excited for. I knew going into this big behemoth of a Stephen King novel, I was gonna have to like be okay with a longer pace. But oh my god, we were 150 pages in and I was like, please, I just want fairies and magic. And we're finally in the fairies and magic. And it's not really fairies and magic, it's more of like this mythical world underneath the actual world. But I'm so glad we are there. However, I did finish all my computer work. Thank you, computer, for being my bestie. Got to page 233 if you're interested. I don't think I told you what page we started at. I think we started at 70, so I read like a good 130-ish pages in there. But I actually want to sit down with a physical book, and I decided to pick one from my TBR, my October TBR too. So thank you, me, for actually reading the books we were supposed to be reading this month. I know I'm in a fantasy mood right now because I was reading Stephen King's book, and I was like, I just want fantasy, like the actual like in-depth fantasy part that you would get, and wasn't feeling it there. So because of that, I know I'm in the mood for fantasy, and I ended up picking The Invocations by Crystal Sutherland off of my TBR. I know this is technically advertised as like a spooky horror type thing. However, the last time I read one of her books, House of Hollow, it ended up being like the fantasy element that I'm looking for. I, once again, don't really know what this is about because I don't read backs of books. I just trust the author with my life. So I'm gonna sit down and start reading The Invocations by Crystal Sutherland to start off our Tuesday reading. And speaking of our Tuesday reading, I finally looked up how many hours I need to read for Tuesday. And of course, it is the largest, the biggest day of this entire week. For Tuesday, I have 9 hours and 3 minutes of reading that I need to do. So excited. It's okay though, because if I start reading now and don't take any breaks at all, I'll only be reading till 1 a.m. And I'm thinking I'm going to take breaks, so we'll probably be up till 3, but that's okay, because that's just a little bit later than we were last night. Anyways, I don't know how much I'm going to read of The Invocations. I'm really hoping I like it. You never really know with me. It just depends on my brain. But yes, with that, let's go get started reading The Invocations by Crystal Sutherland.
Hello. Okay, so it has been longer than 3.5 hours, but I've been reading for about 3.5 hours so far tonight. I'm at 3 hours and 25 minutes, and I have been reading my way through The Invocations by Crystal Sutherland. I am a little bit over halfway. I am 53% of the way through this book. My next chapter is chapter 18, and I'm loving this. I don't want to say it's like really good because I don't know if it's really good yet. But I am liking it. Like I liked House of Hollow. I love the magic systems that Aurora Crystal sets up. Like I love the way that she has bonded these 3 characters together. Like they literally have nothing in common other than the fact that they all either needed something from this witch or they are the witch. You know, it's super fun. Also, my English class skills are completely leaving me right now, but we are in the perspective of like we get everybody's point of view and feelings, but it switches by chapter. Or if you're in the middle of a chapter, you get like one of those little paragraph divide thingies, and you switch to somebody else's perspective. But it's not saying I. Like, it's not like, I see this, I see that, you did this, you did that. It's their names every time. I can't remember what that one's called, and I really don't
want to remember right now.
But I think that might be part of why I love her writing so much, is that you get to like individually connect with the characters while also like learning everything about all of them. Does that make sense? Like you get individual time with them while still being with all of them. I will say that in the beginning of this book, I don't know if I felt this way in the beginning of House of Hollow, but I was like real confused by what was happening at first, but everything got explained after the first like 50 pages. You kind of knew like the premise of what was going on. When starting fantasy books, I've realized more and more that I kind of just have to roll with the punches for a little bit, like for the first 100 pages, and just see if like something comes of it, you know, and if it doesn't, then you DNF it. But I am over 200 pages into this book, and it's phenomenal. Okay, the writing's phenomenal. I love the characters. I really don't have like any complaints at all. I don't feel like anything's being dragged out too much. I think the pacing is great. It's keeping me awake because I'm already getting a little bit eepy, which is an issue. So I'm about to go make myself a cup of hot chocolate and see if that helps our endeavors. I'm also going to be moving to an upright position for reading rather than lounging back on the couch. I'm going to sit in my mom's reading chair down here. But I'm thinking that we finish. I almost called a House of Hollow. I'm thinking that we finish the invocations down here. It'll probably take me another 3 hours, which will get us at about 6.5 hours, and then we will migrate upstairs and either read on my Kindle or do an audiobook. But that is like way far in the future. I think we should finish this one first before I like get way ahead of myself, because let's be real, I could fall asleep at any second. I'm gonna be real with you. I'm trying not to. But yeah, that's your little update. I'm loving the invocations. Highly recommend it. If you're okay with dark magic, I should point that out. This very much revolves around the occult and dark magic and demons. Lots of demons. But okay, I'm gonna go make myself a hot chocolate and let's go back to reading. Hello everybody, and good morning. Please ignore my hair. I literally just got out of the shower and I could not be bothered to blow dry it because I never blow dry my hair. I don't even know why I'm saying, oh, Zuna blow dry it. No, I would not have done that. I never would have done that. I also just fixed the angle mid-shot because I can. But it is time for a quick little book conversation talk moment. Today is actually Thursday morning, and the last time we talked was like Tuesday afternoon, where I was finishing our Invocations book, which we will talk about in a second, but I do just want to take a second to talk about why it's Thursday and not Wednesday and not Tuesday night. After finishing the Invocations, I took like a 10-minute break on social media, and I realized that the next day was actually one of my best friend's suicide anniversary dates, which is really weird to say because why do you put suicide and anniversary together? But you know, it's there. And to say that it took a hit on my mental health would be a little bit of an understatement. I felt A, so bad for not even realizing it was that day, and then B, so proud of myself for still getting through the days up to it, because normally my body shuts down because my body knows before my brain knows, to put it in very simple terms. But I still mentally and physically needed a day where I kind of just sat with myself and mentally kind of came to terms with the fact that, you know, it was a special day. I truly meant to do this for the entire week, and I was really mad at myself, honestly, for a while that I wasn't like pushing through and doing it. But I knew that if I did mentally and physically, it would not have been well for my health. So unfortunately, we did miss technically 4 hours of reading from Tuesday night and then 9 hours from yesterday. So not 9, 5 hours from yesterday. I apologize. Not that you guys would have known that, but I did unfortunately go ahead and give myself, I'm gonna let it slide that I kind of lost my bearings there for a second. I don't know. I just feel like you guys would rather see like a half-baked video rather than, you know, me trying it again, because this is just content lost, and these are books that I wanted to read with you. You get what I'm saying? Maybe that doesn't make sense, and maybe I'm just being silly, but I have decided that we are going to do Thursday and Friday's reading because today is Thursday, and we are gonna
act like everything's okay. And if you are upset with me, I apologize, but I'm not going to change it. I can't go back in time and make it Wednesday again, right? So I hope that you are okay with the decision that I've made. This just means that we have to do another video like this in the future. But let's stop talking about sad things and get to the point, which is reading. Obviously, Tuesday night, I finished reading The Invocations by Crystal Sutherland. This book is everything I could have wanted and more. I will always love Crystal Sutherland's horror books. I know she's only written 2, but they are both so good. This one included. Like I said when we met up halfway through, I absolutely love the characters. I love the dynamics. I think the pacing was beautiful. The plot twists that were in like the last 70 to 50 pages of this book were absolutely phenomenal. I really didn't think we were going to get any plot twists. I thought it was going to be like, oh, straightforward, but no, it went, and I went, oh. I ended up giving The Invocations a 4 out of 5 stars, in case you're curious. I'm going to stand by that rating because while I don't know if I liked it as much as House of Hollow because of the different points of my reading adventure that I read them at, I still very much enjoyed it, and Crystal Sutherland, you know how to write a book, my girl. You know how to write a book. This is the last book that I've actually picked up, was this one, Tuesday night. Like I said, loved it, very good. And today is Thursday, which is going to be our second to last day for our little bit of reading time together. And when I say a little bit, today is actually a lot of reading time, and I'm gonna regret that I'm starting this at 2 in the afternoon. To be fair though, this morning I did spend like 4 to 6 hours doing all the stuff that I couldn't do while reading so that I could sit down for the rest of the day and read. So in my brain, worked out great, okay? For last Thursday, I had a screen time of 10 hours and 3 minutes. I don't even know what to tell you. Don't know what to tell you. I don't know what I did on my phone for 10 hours and 3 minutes. So obviously, we have a little bit of reading that we need to do. And to actually start off today's reading, because I have 10 hours of reading I need to do, we are going to start reading an audiobook. And I say start because I really don't want to listen to Fairy Tale by Stephen King right now. I ain't really in the mood for it, if we honest, not really wanting to read that. So I'm instead going to pick up another book from Libby that is due back in like 6 days. And that is going to be Little Fires Everywhere. I don't know who it's by, so I apologize. I'll get there when I get there. But again, I have a little bit of behind the scenes work that I need to get done, which I can do while I listen to an audiobook, so that is my plan. I'm actually planning on binge reading Little Fires Everywhere because the audiobook's only 11 hours, but I listen to it on 2 times speed, so it'll take me between like 5 and 6 hours to finish. And that is a really good chunk of our time. So that is what we are going to start with, is listening to Little Fires Everywhere. I literally don't even know what this book is about, so if anything like absolutely crazy happens, things I feel like we need to talk about or anything like that, I will of course come back and like debrief with you. But I don't know what's gonna happen because I don't know what the book's about. But firstly, we need to start a timer together. Oh, you can see yourself. Don't like that. Alrighty, I've gone ahead and resetted it, and now we start our reading. First off, if you can hear my fan in the background, I deeply apologize, but my room is hotter than the Sahara Desert right now, so we're both gonna have to deal, okay? Sorry, I've been sitting for like 5 hours, and I think I'm going a little bit insane. But let's have a quick little reading update, shall we? So I told you I was going to binge listen to Little Fires Everywhere, which is by Celeste Ng, by the way. I know I didn't tell you the author earlier, that's who it's by. But I have gotten officially 70% of the way through this audiobook, and I need a break for my brain to think on the information that I just found out. Because, yeah, if you've read Little Fires Everywhere, maybe you know what I'm talking about. I just finished reading chapter 14, which was Mia's backstory. So, I needed a minute to digest everything that we found out, you know? Because I'm taking a break from reading it, I feel like I need to tell you what it's about. In Little Fires Everywhere, we follow Mia and her daughter Pearl as they move into this new city. And this city really reminds me of the movie Don't Worry, Darling, where the women are actually in like VR places. If you haven't seen Don't Worry, Darling, I'm sorry I just spoiled it for you. Like everything in this town is like supposed to be perfect, and everything's like you have to cut your grass and they come and measure it. Like it's weird, right? And I don't even think that's the main point of it. I think the main point of it is that Mia and Pearl moved in and they're mysterious and they end up getting really close with this one family, and the actions that Mia takes kind of disrupt the life of this place. And for the life of me, I cannot remember what the town is called, so I'm just gonna call it City. And the way that this book is written, you are like in the timeline, but we started with like the main event of the book, and then we just backtracked to like when Mia and Pearl moved in. And now we're going through Mia and Pearl being there and kind of like the living situation for like the next year-ish. But then we're also getting like snippets of people's backstories and why they're there and things like that. And I think that it's beautifully written, but my brain has a hard time comprehending this timeline sometimes because it's not in front of me and I'm not reading it. You get what I'm saying? This feels like one that might have a bigger impact on me if I were to read it. However, I'm still absolutely loving it. It is absolutely great. There's gonna be like some major plot twist at the end that I didn't see coming, and it's gonna take me by full on surprise. I can already tell. And I'm excited for that moment. I am. But enough talking about the book that I wasn't even supposed to be talking to you about. For the first 71% of Little Fires Everywhere, it took me 6 hours and 8 minutes. And that is a little bit longer than I thought it was going to take me, but I had to slow down the speed a little bit at a couple of places because I'm like, wait, what? Who, what, where, why, when? It's like one of those books where I'm like, huh? Plus, I was doing other stuff while doing it, so my brain just really wasn't comprehending everything at its full potential because when does my brain ever do that? It's silly. It's a silly little guy. And I was going to pick up another book on my October TBR, but I told myself that in this video, I wanted to finish reading The Ritual by... I don't know, my Kindle's not loading, so I can't actually tell you. Oh, there it goes. I don't know. It won't show me the author's name without any of the stuff on top of it, and I don't really know how to navigate my Kindle. I'm not a Kindle genius, so it's Chantal Tessier, I think. But I'm currently on chapter 44 of this book, and normally this is just one that I would read at night, but I do kind of want to like sit down and binge read it to finish it, because right now it is exactly 9:03 p.m. and I have, according to my Kindle, 3 hours and 2 minutes left of this book. Which, by the way, this book has taken me so long to get through. I didn't know going into this that this was a 600-page novel. Didn't know that. Would have loved to know that. This book is the biggest book commitment I have made in a really long time, disregarding Fairy Tale. And that's saying something because for Fairy Tale, I had to plan ahead. But 3 hours and 2 minutes left of One Dark Window. Did I just call it One Dark Window? The Ritual. 3 hours and 2 minutes left of The Ritual, which will take us to about 9 hours here, and I have to read for 10 hours. So I'm gonna have to pick something else up, but I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. And for those of you who may be thinking that I'm gonna fall asleep early tonight, because I have been every other night, I had an energy drink at 4 p.m., and that means my body isn't gonna get tired until at least 3 a.m. And neither is my brain. Can you tell by the energy that I have at 9 p.m. at night? I told myself I didn't want to wreck my sleep schedule for my mental health, and I've gone and done it anyways, but it's fine. I am happy with my decision. Anyways, I think I've said everything I wanted to say. I don't really have anything to tell you about The Ritual because this plot is so complex and like so, I don't even know. For those of you who haven't heard of The Ritual, it's a dark romance, and I think it might be one of the darkest, if not the darkest romances that I have ever read. And that's not a bad thing. It's just, I haven't read one in a while. Well, I haven't read one like this in a while, so I don't even know how to like talk about it. Does that make sense? Like, I don't really know how to tell you what I'm reading about because I'm not even really fully comprehending it because I'm like, what the hell is going on? It feels a lot like a cult though, so that's fun. But I really need to stop talking to you about the book and just go sit down and actually read it. So that is what I'm gonna go do. Let's go finish reading The Ritual. Yeah.
Okay, so I just finished reading The Ritual. I really don't know how I feel. It could be because it's like 11:45 at night and my brain's not processing things very well right now. I've gone ahead and given it my default rating of 3 stars on Goodreads. This is like the first book in a really long time that I'm not reading it right after I finish. But genuinely, there's so much that I need to like mentally, and physically unpack. Do I look like I'm awake enough to do that now? Because I'm not. I'm officially coming down from my energy drink high. I look like I'm dead. I feel kind of dead. But reading The Ritual only took me 2.5 hours, not 3. Low-key pissed. Because timer's at 8 minutes. Whoa. Did my phone just shift? Oh, the binders are falling. Hold on. I like for realsies thought my eyeballs were shifting in ways they weren't supposed to be for a second. But 8 hours and 30 minutes into 10 hours and 3 minutes. And I really don't know what to pick up. I don't feel like I'm in a reading slump, but I just don't have a book that I'm specific like, I want to read that one next. You know what I'm saying? Especially on my Kindle, because I want to go upstairs and read in the dark. And if I was going to read anything, honestly, it would be Apprentice to the Villain, because I finished Assistant to the Villain. Was that this week? No, last week Friday. And I love Assistant to the Villain, and I want to know what happens with Evie and Tristan, but I only have the physical copy of it, and it's not It's like not on Kindle Unlimited. It's Kindle Unlimited. Wow. It's not on Kindle Unlimited is what I'm trying to say. I'm leaving this in just for comedic purposes, but editing me, I'm sorry. How much is it for me to buy a printed? $12? Yeah, no. I obviously have so many books in my Kindle library because I'm insane, but none of them are really appealing to me. The only book that I have in my Kindle library, which I also have on my October 2024 TBR, is Haunting Adeline, but I just finished Dark Romance and I don't feel like picking another one up. I have a whole lot of fantasy on here, but I don't think I want that. What do I want? Ooh, I went on like a thriller bend like a couple of Stuff Your Kindle days ago, and I have so many hockey romances in here. Why do I have so many hockey romances? Anything on my TBR cart look appealing? Not really. I don't know what to do. The other books on my October 2024 TBR are the Book of Accents by Chuck Wendig, but that's a big brain book. I don't want to start. Once again, Haunting Adeline, don't want to read that. The Bone Witch, which I could start, and then Late Bloomer, which is a romance. If I'm going based off of brain power, I would pick Late Bloomer. I want to read in the dark. I have to stop looking at my books and start looking at my Kindle. Okay, I have perused the wonderful world of my Kindle and Kindle Unlimited and looked through not like my entire library, but just glossing over what I have, and none of it looks appealing. I hate when I get like this because now I don't know what to pick up and it makes it harder, especially when I need to be reading. You get what I'm saying? I'm really tempted to actually pick up, is it called Phasma? Not Phasmophobia, that's the game. This book right here, I've been seeing a lot of people get it from their Book of the Month boxes, which I don't have, but it is on Kindle Unlimited. You know what? I'm gonna try it. That seems appealing to me. Do I know what it's about? No idea. But my brain's like, yeah, I'll read that. So I'm gonna go upstairs and we're gonna go read the book that starts with P and ends in A, and we'll reconvene in the morning because there's no way I'm gonna be conscious enough to talk to you again tonight. So go talk to morning me. Hello and happy Friday morning. And happy final day of reading my screen time for a week. Low-key, thank God. So I half remember the conversation that we had last night after I finished The Ritual. I know that I didn't have a set rating for The Ritual. I have one now. We'll talk about it in a second. And I know I was going on to read a book on my Kindle, starting with a P and ending with an A. Still don't know what it's called. And I don't know what it's called because I ended up not reading that, but actually ended up picking a romance that I already had in my Kindle library called Spookily Yours. I did read it for the remaining hour and a half of time I had left. I actually read 7 more minutes than I needed to. Yeah, that's right. And I am now about 53% of the way through that book. I think I read the first 14 chapters and there's 24 chapters in the book, so, moseying my way through it and having a grand old time. Before we talk about Spookily Yours, I'm going to backtrack to The Ritual really quickly. I don't know if I said one coherent thought about that book last night, but I did like it. I just have a lot of conflicting feelings with the book. There are a lot of characters, and especially towards the end, I had to go like, who, what, where, why, when? Like, it all connected beautifully in the end, but my brain at 11:45 running off of an energy drink was not comprehending it. Like I was, but I wasn't. You get what I'm saying? Like I was just kind of struggling a little bit. But did finish The Ritual. I finally have a rating. My rating is going to be 3 out of 5 stars. It's going to stay with the temporary middle ground rating. Is what I'm trying to say. I really did not hate the book. I did like it. I liked it a lot. But I read it over such a long period of time because it started out as a book club book that for the first 20 chapters, it was over a month. And then I binge read the rest of the book in a week and a half. And 2, it was a little bit longer than most of the romances that I read. Going into it, I did not realize it was 600 pages. I thought it was maybe 3. So my error. But as far as pacing goes, I really don't have an issue with the pacing of the book. I think that it was fine. I don't know. When I look back and think about this book, I love watching the relationship between Blakely and Riot bloom and what it turned into. But oh my God, did it have to take 600 pages? I would still recommend the book, but once again, it is a dark romance and 600 pages. So just make sure you know what you're getting into. I will be continuing on with the series, but obviously not in this video. I need a break from dark romance for a second. Moving on, let's quickly talk about Spookily Yours. I did not read the back of this book. I just saw the cover, thought it was cute, added it to my Kindle library, said I would read it eventually, and this is now eventually. It was only sitting in there for a week though. I'm very proud of myself. I'm actually getting better at reading the books on my Kindle that I've had through Kindle Unlimited for months. But started Spookily Yours 53% of the way through. It started with this demon being a cat, and then our female main character is actually a witch, and the witch freed the demon from the cat. Turns out, demon's a guy, and apparently he's hot. So now they're, romancing it up. I'm gonna be so real with you when I say that I do not feel
chemistry between these two characters. Like, not as much as the book is leading on, if that makes sense. Maybe it's because I went from reading a dark romance to a light and fluffy one, so my brain is having troubles comprehending the difference between those two types of relationships. But it doesn't feel like they're that attracted to each other. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like this is purely a physical relationship. I am, however, still going to finish it because I'm reading it purely for vibes. And actually, I'm thinking that we finished Spookily Yours in today's reading. Which is the final thing we need to talk about, is how long I have to read for this final day of my screen time into reading time. I checked it last night, and I'm pretty dang sure that it is 7 hours and 21 minutes of reading that I have. When I tell you, I am actually so glad that today is the last day I have to do this. Even though, you know, I'm the only one who's making myself do this. But guys, reading this many hours, so many days in a row, what do I do on my phone for that long, okay? Like, I can't even really comprehend it. But before I finish Spookily Yours, I actually want to finish listening to Little Fires Everywhere. I'm checking my Libby app, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, I have 3.5 hours left, technically, but it's only going to take me about 1 hour and 45. Maybe 2, but that might be pushing it. So, I have gone ahead and reset our little timer here, and I am now going to go off and finish listening to Little Fires Everywhere. I am not going to check in with you in between anything. I'm just going to finish it, and then we'll talk about thoughts at the end, and then move on to our next book, which I'm thinking is going to be Spookily Yours. I kind of want to finish that. Nonetheless, it is time. Let us go finish listening to Little Fires Everywhere. I just finished listening to Little Fires Everywhere. I quite literally reverse searched the book to where I am now reading like the blurb of what this book is supposed to be about. The blurb does a good job. So conflicted on my thoughts and my feelings. That one was a thinker. That's a thinking kind of book. And I don't know what I'm going to read. Do I? Do I know? I don't think I know. I've been sitting here for a couple of seconds. I'm like, I don't think I know. This is the second book in a row where I don't know my rating right off the bat. Like, I literally could not even, like, ballpark it for you. I really said there was going to be, like, this huge mystery revealed thing at the end, and there really wasn't. Everything wrapped up for the characters, but everyone's under the wrong impression. Like, everyone doesn't actually know the truth except for everything, right? So I don't know how I feel. That's not true. See, I did like it. Okay, so not a 2.5. Maybe based off of vibes. It's a literary contemporary fiction adult mystery book. Like, I shouldn't be expecting like crazy high fantasy action type plot. No, it doesn't feel right. See, it doesn't feel right. And neither does, none of it feels right. Like, I don't know. When I get a rating, I'll come back to you, because we're not going to sit here for 20 minutes and diverge my thoughts in little bits and pieces. We'll be here forever. But it did take me almost 2 hours to finish listening to Little Fires Everywhere. There might have been a couple of minutes of thinking in there, I'm going to be real with you, but 1 hour and 57 minutes is the point where we are at now. And now I'm thinking we go on to finish reading Spookily Yours on my Kindle. I don't have my Kindle on me. I believe I have 1.5 hours left in Spookily Yours, but I actually have to go run an errand first, so I'm gonna do that, and then we'll come back and finish Spookily Yours, which I've already been talking about. It's that romance where the demon's a cat and now it's no longer a cat. I read really interesting things. Before we talk about reading, I do just want to say that I kind of forgot the outfit that I'm currently wearing. If you could please ignore my Sally onesie, I would be very appreciative. Anyways, today is actually Saturday and it's no longer Friday, because I am not the brightest person ever. Last we talked, I was gonna go off and finish reading Spookily Yours, which I did, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I forgot to start the timer for how long I read, and then I felt demotivated to read, so I was just like, well, whatever, I got mad. I got upset with myself that I didn't start my timer for reading Spookily Yours, and then I was like, well, all my time's messed up, and because I'm really bad with time. So, long story short, we're ending the video here, but let's talk about Spookily Yours. Last we talked, I was enjoying it. It's just a cute little Halloween one-off, but there wasn't anything great about it. I didn't really feel the chemistry between the characters, and I was just reading it for the vibes. And I'm really glad that I was reading it for the vibes, because I actually really did not like it. After they got together, it felt like we only focused on the physical portion of the relationship, and I was enjoying all the cute little moments of her taking him to the pumpkin patch and to the Halloween festival activities, and then we just kind of stopped doing that. We also go to where Damien is from, who is the guy main character, because he's a demon, so we go to the demon realm. And I feel like the last part of the plot with Willow's sister was kind of just thrown in there willy-nilly. Like, I know we already talked about that, that's why Damien was there, but like, I didn't like how that part went. All to say, even though I was just reading it for the vibes, I ended up giving it a 2.5 out of 5. It really was not what I was wanting, I'm gonna be honest. I wanted like a cute, fluffy, light, funny romance, and that is not what I got. So after this, I'm still gonna be in a romance bender, but I don't know what I'm gonna pick up next. That'll be fun to figure out later. But yeah, that is officially all of the reading that we are gonna be doing in this video. Despite all the things that went wrong in the filming process of this video, I still had a lot of fun doing it. I definitely want to try doing this again in the future, maybe when I'm not so stressed and my life doesn't go completely sideways. But you know, you can never really know with me. But yes, with that, thank you so much for spending time reading with me. I hope that your book worlds are treating you just as well as mine treat me, and I cannot wait to speak to you next Wednesday. Bye!